He's one of the finest songwriters of his generation that's written more anthemic classics than you've had hot dinners. His new solo album, Even in Exile, is out now, and here to tell us all about it is the niftiest thing to ever come out of Newport. It's the Manic Street Preacher's James Dean Bradfield.
Good morning, James.
Good morning, how are you?
Very well, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. It's sunny in Cardiff here this morning.
Yeah?
Yes, it's my first time on your new show, Chris.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, you're evergreen as far as I'm concerned. I wasn't aware of that. I'll tell you what I'm aware of, James. Just reminded me, this is all fate, it's all meant to be, all serendipity. My mate Morgs is getting married today in Cardiff. So have a great wedding to the beautiful Fen.
Oh,
Morgs.
whereabouts? I'll go and crash it. I'll go and whereabouts?
By the way, he loves you. Yeah, maybe if you get there before the wedding, it might not happen.
I'll go there. I'll drop a bit of Billy Idol, kind of like White Wedding.
Oh, come on.
I Want to Kiss the Bride, Elton John. I'll do all those things if you want.
I almost believe you, James. Almost. Right, so because I'm stupid and because your new album's called Even in Exile, I'm thinking, this is the lockdown thing. He said, lockdown is in exile, but even in exile, I've got to write music. I couldn't be more wrong. All right, tell us who the individual that the whole of this album about is, please.
This album is about a guy called Victor Jara. He was a singer, songwriter, and political activist from Chile. Kind of came to prominence in the mid-'60s and the early '70s. And he's a bit of a hidden gem. Because he's had songs written about him by the likes of U2. He's had whole albums dedicated to him by the likes of Simple Minds. The Clash wrote a song about him. Bruce Springsteen has covered one of his songs. He really is like, one of those best kept secrets. He was a protest singer, but his songs were beautiful.
So, from a bluffer's guide, other than buying your album, listening to it now, downloading it, and all that other good stuff, where might we start? What can we watch? Do we read a book? Do we watch a movie about this guy? How do we get in?
Well, I mean, there was a book written about him by his widow, who was called Joan Jara. Unfortunately, Victor Jara did get murdered when there was a political coup in Chile. But his wife subsequently wrote a book called An Unfinished Song. That's the book, An Unfinished Song by Joan Jara. And there are lots of Victor Jara kind of compilations out there. If you just buy one of his records, it's more like listening to a Chilean version of Tim Buckley, but with political lyrics. He really was a beautiful man. Really had an aura about him. And his wife, Joan Jara, was an amazing person too. And it's a beautiful story because he was very political and he had lots of beliefs, but he was very empathetic and his songs were beautiful. His songs weren't like tab-thumping songs. They were just very, very beautiful kind of political poems.
And how come, I mean, always why not, I suppose, to buy, but how come he's on the radar of Simple Minds and U2 and people like yourself? Is this known within the business? Does he have renown within the business?
Well, it stands as a testament to how educational some bands were in the 80s. I mentioned there U2, Simple Minds, kind of The Clash is the first time I ever heard, a Clash song called, there was a Clash song called Washington Bullets, was the first time I ever heard Victor Jara's name. And there were other people like Robert Wyatt that covered his songs. Bands like Calexico wrote songs about him. Wow. People like Christy Moore and David Ewan wrote songs about him. And of course, when Bruce Springsteen was singing in Santiago in front of 20,000 people, he was there covering a Victor Jara song called Manifesto. So it was one of those echoes that came to prominence in the 80s because he was murdered in 1973. Because he was a musician, he struck a chord with musicians, and because his music was beautiful, rather than just being doggerel and rather than just being one of those tab-thumping kind of grey songs, instead of that, his political songs are beautiful. So that's why musicians held him in such esteem, because he was obviously a very empathetic person, a very caring person, and his music was beautiful. But unfortunately, he met a terrible end.
And so you were moved to write this album off the back of some poems by Nicky's brother, is that right?
It is, yeah. Kind of. Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. The Jones family, the mafia, the lyrical mafioso of South Wales. Patrick Jones is Nicky Wire's older brother. I've known him all my life as being Nick's older brother. And he's a playwright and a poet in his own right. And he was just writing about Victor Jara as an emotional exercise. And the Manics were taking a break. And I like a wolf, I eyed up these beautiful words that he was writing. And I said to him, well, if you're not going to release them in any form, can I try and put them to music? And he allowed me to. So there was a bit of serendipity because the Manics were taking a big break and I needed something to do. And I had so much empathy with the subject matter because I'd been taught about it by all these bands, like I said, in the 80s.
Now, this is talking about a big break there with the Manics. You know, how big is a Manics big break? You know, is there a plan? Is there a timeline? Do you just feel it?
No, we're very precise. I mean, it was around about 3 years ago when we were releasing another record, we said that we were going to take a break after that record. Our last album, Resistance is Futile. So I had this vista of nothingness stretching out before me, and that panics me because I need music. I need music to record and to write and to play, you know. But I'm already back in the studio doing Manics demos. In fact, when I drop this phone, I'm going straight to our studio, and I'm continuing doing demos for Manics. So we're kind of back on track now. All
right. So do we have any idea? I mean, it's strange times, but any idea of a timeline to some Manics music that we can hear?
God, I'd like to think it'd be after summer next year. I'd like to think so, but who knows these days? But at the moment, there's a little song I'm working on has got almost like a darker version of ABBA at the moment.
Let's leave it at that. I don't want to know any more. I do, but I don't. Okay. Yes, a darker version of ABBA. And that intimates that ABBA are dark to begin with. A darker version of ABBA. That's lovely.
I don't know, kind of the day before you came, when it thinks it all. It's a massive streak of melancholy in ABBA, as we all know.
There is, yeah. It's the lament that gets you. It's the hope that kills you.
Right,
yeah. James, we're going to play The Boy from the Plantation. 10 original songs about this magic man you're talking about on Even in Exile, and then an 11th track, which is a reworking of one of his own songs. Is that right?
It is, yeah. Yeah, there's I did one of his instrumentals called La Partida because I tried to sing a Victor Jara song, and he sings with so much tenderness and that I just couldn't do it. I am a bit of a tough thumper when I sing. I hector and I bawl the place down, whereas Victor Jara had much more tenderness in his voice. So I found it hard to do his songs any justice. So therefore, I covered one of his instrumentals.
James, I think that tenderness is in there somewhere. I know you do. All right, mate. Well, lovely to talk to you again. Good luck with everything. Give our love to the boys, and you know where we are.
Take care, man. Bye-bye.
Cheers, man. All right, you're very welcome. James Dean Bradfield, Even in Exile, out today. About this amazing man.